Hi, you guys. Okay, The Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 7. Picking up where we left off, June is walking off the boat, and here comes Mark and all the representatives from Canada, I guess. And June has to say out her own mouth that she's seeking asylum, and that's what she does. They haul her off to a fancy hotel, honey, as they should, because June has definitely been fighting for the rights of humanity. Rachel and Mark explains to June that this will be her home for a while. They want to monitor her security and her mental health and her health overall. As June is walking in the halls, she's getting clashed with all these normalities, right? Everything that we think is normal. People walking through the halls, a lady playing the piano, everybody just going about their everyday business. Meanwhile, just a 10-hour boat ride across the U.S. is Gilead, where women are in bondage 24/7. Not only women, it's other people as well. We're watching from the eyes of the handmaids, so we see up close and personal what they go through on a normal daily basis. Although June, this was normal for her years ago, she was reprogrammed to Gilead society and new normals. She's kind of experiencing a culture shock. At points we can see her head hanging a little low, and she's like peeping out at people, taking this all in. Okay, so we get up to the room and they have all these flowers and foods and drinks and things for June. Rachel tells June that she tries to get all of June's favorite foods and things, and that if she doesn't see anything, that it's a debit card for her to use. They even picked out some clothes for June, but if June doesn't like them, she can go get her own. And they also have someone set up to come over and help June with the culture of things, of how things work in Canada, and getting back, well, I shouldn't say getting back to normalities, but getting to some new normals. Luke asks them, y'all said there will be doctors, and Mark said, yes, we have a female therapist and a female medical doctor. Mark tells Luke, thankfully, June has been cleared of any traumatic injuries, for us like physical harm. I would say they're still going to throw in a doctor to help and a mental health counselor to help June with the transition. Like I was saying, even though June doesn't have any physical traumatic injuries, she definitely has some mental trauma. I mean, shit, I have trauma and I'm just watching it. We look at The Handmaid's Tale as entertainment, but it is a lot of people that's in these type of bondage all over the world. So when we see things and they're showing us this and we think it's so cruel, or why should they put a young girl on here with an older guy? This stuff still goes down. These things still goes down in different parts of the world. This is a huge world. Nothing comes out of thin air. And I think these days people want to make a La La Land, like a delusional world. I appreciate this type of art and storytelling. They over at The Handmaids did an excellent job. I digress. Anyway, Mark goes on to say that June is a very important witness, and what she achieved in Gilead with the angel flights, and also what she's seen go down in DC and Chicago with all of the things, made my girl June extra valuable to them. They tell June, go and kick your feet up, order some room service, have some dinner with your husband, get some rest. We'll be back in the morning to go over some questions and start debriefing. Mark and Rachel make their way out, and Maura is there with Luke and June, and she says this place is a lot better than the refugee center. Because June is a high-profile refugee, she gets all the special trimmings, as June does deserve it. Did you notice how when Rachel and Mark and everything, all that commotion was going on, June was like in a surreal haze or whatever, like she was barely listening. She's hearing them, but she's not really taking all of this in. When they leave and Maura start talking, and Maura mentions that she's going to bring Nicole over, it seems like June came back like she's okay, I'm with family now. I don't know, it could have been me, but it seems that way. Maura says her goodbyes because she says she's off to Nicole. Luke thanks Maura, and Maura's like, yeah, don't mention it. Just bring me some of that good old moisturizers that they give you. Maura tells him that she loves them and she go on out. And June is looking like, okay, everybody just getting along. Still kind of surreal to her. That's what I was reading. Which it would be. Look what just happened not even 24 hours ago. She was in a damn bomb explosion with a Janine. Okay, so now it's just June and Luke left alone. And it's awkward. Not only June is a different person, also, June is carrying the guilt that she left Hannah behind. Yes, June did confess her guilt to Luke back on the boat, but still, guilt doesn't go away like that. This is still traumatic. This is still trauma. Luke is doing his best. He's trying to make June comfortable. He asking her, is she hungry? You know what? You're tired. You may be tired. You just probably just want to rest, right? He tell her, you need to use the bathroom. She said yes. He said, you going to the bathroom? I'm just going to order some room service like the lady told us. And June just like, she just walked right on by him. And poor Luke, he doesn't know what to do. We don't get to explore Luke that much, but I'm sure this is just as traumatic for him as it is for June. Not to the extent, but it is trauma nevertheless. June goes into the bathroom and she shuts and locks the door behind her. All of these things is kind of overwhelming. Like I said, she just came from out of a war zone, took a 10-hour boat ride over. Now she's in a luxury hotel with plush towels with her true husband, Luke. Also, they have a way of let us emotionally break down how when June is stepping out of her war zone clothes, we seen her in these clothes for like 2-3 episodes. So now she gets out of them and, she pushed that's the side of her, that's behind her now. And as she's showering, we're seeing all the bruises from Gilead, at least the physical bruises. June gets out the shower and she's in her nice silk robe, and she peeps out and she sees Luke, who is trying hard to set the table up nice for her, and he got the food going on nice, and she just shuts the door quietly and gets into bed. Luke has been waiting for a while, so he goes and peeps in, and June is knocked out. Okay, June awake. She said, damn, did I sleep until the next day? And Luke, he was over there asleep on the couch, which I thought was so cute. Even though that's his wife, he want to be all up on her, he still gives her space. He tells June, actually, you slept for 17 hours straight. Luke mentioned back in the past when June would get a lot of rest, she would think that she would achieve something. And June is like, yeah, but it never was 17 hours. And he said, yeah, that was a new milestone right there. And June said, well, I think everything from here on out will be a milestone. Luke got emotional and he's like, I just can't believe that you're here. I just can't believe it. He's getting emotional. And June hangs her head. And I think it's kind of guilt. She's feeling that guilt that Hannah isn't with them to make their family complete. Also, we know how June is. She want to take on everyone's burden, everyone's guilt. And she may be trying to take on Luke's. Maybe, she see that he feels guilty about some things and she's taking on that as well. She tells Luke, come on over, come sit with me. June tries to change the subject a bit. She said, did you order room service? And he said, yeah. And she said, damn, I went to sleep. And he said, yeah. She said, did you get to eat? And he tells her, no, I couldn't eat. This man couldn't eat because his wife couldn't even eat. June apologizes, and Luke is like, what are you sorry about? You don't have anything to be sorry about. Ever since the boat, you keep apologizing. What are you apologizing for? If anything, I should be the one apologizing for not saving you, both you and Hannah. Luke goes on to tell June that he tried to find Hannah and June every day. He never gave up. He feels like he failed. He tells her, I'm sorry. So Luke is carrying a lot of guilt around as well. What husband wouldn't be. He doesn't have a money to pay an army to come find June and Hannah, because that's what it would have had took for him to capture them from Gilead. Every man feels that that's their duty to protect his woman and his children. Tells June, I'm sorry, and if you don't forgive me, I understand, because I wouldn't forgive me. I think Luke was feeling the guard up that June has on him, because how she's shutting doors and locking doors behind her. She's shutting down. She's putting a wall up between her and Luke. And if she don't communicate her feelings and express how she feel, how can they move forward? That's why I said in last week's review that they may not make it going forward if she keep a wall up with him. June tells Luke, actually, Hannah knows how much we love her and care for her. And Luke is like, no, it's been too long. She said, no, I seen her. It was at a lake house. They let me talk to her for about 10 minutes. Luke is taken back. He's like, what? How is she? How is she? So June goes on to say, she's beautiful. She's big. And when I did see her, she was mad. And I had asked June, why didn't she try to find her? And June told Hannah, I did. And so did your daddy. June told Luke, Hannah said, well, why didn't you try harder? And they bust out laughing and said, that's Hannah. So Luke asked, so what did you say to her? June said, I told her that it was okay that she was mad, but I will always be her mother. And I wish that I could be there to protect her. And that June and her daddy both love her and that they will never stop. Luke tells June, you are a very good mother. And June is like, no, I'm not. And Luke tells her, you are. We see June has a flashback of when she recently seen Hannah, and she did not discuss that with Luke, which June being June, carrying everyone's burden and trying to protect everyone. Like she told Mara, she know what Luke can handle, and she didn't tell him this traumatic experience. Now, I'm not saying that she should tell him right away. Everyone has their own way of dealing with things, but she going forward, she can't keep putting up these walls. It's okay for her to share her trauma with her husband. That's her husband. Okay, now June is having her interview and debriefing with Mark. So Mark was asking her questions about how did she get the flight to Canada for the children. And he also asked her what encouraged her to do such a courageous act. June says she wanted them to hurt the kidnappers and the Serenas. June goes on to say that she thought about what they deserved, the kidnappers. June said they take everything from you. They really do. We see when June is unpacking this and she's thinking about all the things that Serena has done to her. Evil ass bitch. Luke steps in and he's like, you need a break? And June asks, was it okay? So Mark said, yeah, that's fine. Luke tells his wife, baby, if you're done for today, that's enough. And you say that's enough, then that's what it is. Mark tried to step in and say, it's best to do this debriefing while everything is fresh on the mind. Luke said, hold up, my man. This is my wife. And if my wife says she's done, I'm going to take her home and we're going to see our daughter. Even June looked at him and was like, okay. That's exactly what Luke did. He took June home, and when they got there, it was Maura, Emily, and baby Nicole. And this reunion was so sweet, so heartwarming. Later on, we see June with baby Nicole, and she asks baby Nicole, why you're so amazing? I know, because you have Luke and Maura raising you. I thought that was so sweet of June. June gonna tell baby Nicole, I want you to know that your daddy and I love you so much. Your first daddy. Oh my God. Why this bitch had to bring Nick up? Oh. Do y'all think that June is still in love with Nick? I very much so think so. I can understand why she kind of fell out of love with her husband because they've been away for so long, and why she would be infatuated with Nick because Nick was closer with her going through that journey. I don't know. June is just, she caught up. Child, down at the Jailhouse Luxury Suites, Serena is in the chapel praying for her unborn baby. Mark walks in and he apologizes for listening to Serena's prayer. And she's like, no, you're not. You're not sorry. Serena asks Mark, does it satisfy him to hear someone from Gilead express their misgivings? Mark asks her, does it satisfy you to express them? Serena says to Mark, you looking kind of punchy over there. You seen her? I know you did. Mark was trying to play dumb, and Serena said, well, my lawyer already told me that she was here. And if she testified, that it can make it bad on my case. Tell Serena, well, I just leave the legal stuff to the lawyers. So Serena said, well, what are you? Just a pot stirrer? Mark said, Serena, your husband been asking to see you like he been doing every day since he found out you were pregnant. Serena said, my sperm donor only wants to see me because she's here and he's afraid. I tell Serena, look, your husband do not want to fight a two-front war with both of you. And Serena is likely to have more influence over him now. Now, if Serena can get him to cooperate, it will help out both Mark and Serena. This thing between Mark and Serena is irritating me. Are they trying to tell us that Serena has a way with men, how she manipulates them, how she lures them into her little trap? Because I get something ain't right with Mark vibes over there. Then again, Mark had already see what type of woman that Serena is with her crazy ass, and this is just his approach. Now that Serena has realized that it can help her ass, save her selfish ass goes in to have a visit with her husband Fred, and his sadistic ass up there trying to manipulate her to keep talking about the baby. Praise be the baby. And we know that Serena is more of a manipulator than him, and she's not trying to hear none of the things about her baby. She tells Fred, this is not our baby, this is my baby. So Fred hit her with the motherfucking, that's just as much as my pregnancy as when June's was yours. Now, Fred itched my ass as well as Serena. But Fred be speaking truth. Serena is so hypocritical. She made all these rules for the women of Gilead, and we see soon as she get to Canada, she's breaking all the rules, and now she has standards for her as a woman. She's trying to be a divorcee in Gilead. Where they do that in Gilead? She's trying to take her baby from the father because he's evil as shit, but she is as well. Because Fred pulled Serena card, she's getting mad now. She's ready to leave because he spoke the truth. And then Fred said, okay, all right, look, with June here in Canada, we can't be naive about this anymore. She can get both of us the max in prison, and you wouldn't be able to be a mother to your baby. So we need to stick together. What I'm going to do is recant my testimony against you. I'll do whatever to make sure that you are there for our son. Child, it's going to be a whole entire mess with Fred and Serena. Okay, back to June. June is just waking up, and we see when she wakes up, she still has to get used to being in normal life in Canada. You see how she pops up and she's trying to get her bearings together, looking around, getting used to her new surroundings, her new normal. Meanwhile, downstairs, Maura is there, Luke, and they're taking care of baby Nicole, making breakfast. June come on down and come in the kitchen, and they said Luke said he's going to make her some pancakes, and Maura said she's going to go to the market and she's going to take baby Nicole with her. I think Maura also was trying, they're trying not to put too much on June too soon. So June said, Maura, you mind waiting for me? I want to go. And Maura says to June, you want to go to the supermarket? I mean, this could be a real culture shock for you. And June says after being in Gilead for so long, she's ready for a culture shock. So they all head on down over to the supermarket, and June and Luke is walking with the cart, and Maura, she has baby Nicole with her while she too is doing some grocery shopping. And she runs into Luke and June as she's shopping, and she's saying, I got to get to the bathroom. I got to change the baby. And after we change her, we're going to have to go on home because she's overdue for a nap. And you know how she get. So Luke is like, okay. And she looking for a diaper. She says, shit, I don't have no diapers. And Luke said, hey, I got one. And he tossed her a diaper. And they're getting along like normal everyday life. And June is like, I cannot believe them two is raising a baby. Who would have knew? And June gets to the potato chip aisle and she like, what the fuck happened to all the potato chips in 7 years? Luke tells her like, yeah, everything got so healthy nowadays. I have to say, that happened to me when I noticed that as well. And I haven't been gone anywhere. So one time I was just in the market and I'm looking for all the Utz potato chips, the fatty potato chips. And all you see is this, you get slapped with all these healthy potato chips nowadays. What is that? Also, Luke had commented on the baby craziness. He said, life with a 1-year-old. And June commented, she said, I remember. And I think that was June's way of trying to say, you know, I'm normal. I remember doing this. I'm not too far away from that. June tells Luke that she's going to grab some chips of her choice and that she'll meet him up at the front. So I think she also wants some time to see if she can do it alone on her own. You venture out into the world. So she's looking at a mom chasing her child down the aisle, a gay couple walking down the aisle, things that, you know, back in Gilead in that dry ass market you wouldn't dare to see. And as June goes to grab some chips, she sees Alma in the next aisle, like a vision of Alma back in Gilead with her uniform on and everything. And this fucks June up. She blinks her eyes and look again, and now she sees two Muslim ladies with red hijabs on, and this also triggers her, right? Because remember the red cloak. She sees the two girls laughing and they're talking about something about the phone. It kind of brings June back to reality. Only for her to see a bottle of water and their symbol is like wings. And this reminds her of the wings back in Gilead in the train station. And this has her spiraling. She's now reminiscing all about Gilead, all the evil things that happened to her, all the trauma, everything from Gilead, the guilt she feels, everything. This causes her to spiral into a panic attack, which I think she handled well, because I would be in a damn corner screaming. Later that day, June had Emily come over with Oliver, and she also wanted Rita to be there. Oliver and Emily showed up. June, I guess it was so overwhelming to her, all the events that happened today. And when they came over, it was like, oh shit, I got to deal with this shit right now. And I don't at all think it was in a bad or negative way. It's just that it could be overwhelming. June pulls it together. She goes in, greet herself to Oliver. Remember, Oliver is Emily's son that she has with her wife Sylvia before Gilead. Sylvia and Oliver was granted access to Canada because they were Canadian born, I think, citizens. And whereas though Emily wasn't able to make it in because Gilead has switched the marital laws and everything, so technically they weren't married under Gilead's new law. Rita comes in shortly after, and Rita and June reunion melted my little heart. Okay, so the four ladies are having like a little support group over here, which I'm sure is very much needed. And Emily mentioned how she still can't go into her wife's bedroom and lay with her intimately. And Maura reminds Emily, like, look, we all left Gilead sexually fucked up. And at first I said last week's episode and this week's episode could have been merged together, but no, I'm glad that they did this. I'm so glad that they broke down the trauma of everything, because we wouldn't have been able to capture all of that in a half an hour or so. The after effects of this is very real. Emily tells Maura, look, you met Una. Mara said, yeah, until I fucked that up. And June said, no, that was my fault. I fucked that up. And Mara said, no. We not going to bring that Aunt Lydia shit up in here. This is an Aunt Lydia free zone. June asks the group of women, do y'all ever wonder if you deserve to be here? And Emily said, yes, I do. Sometimes I think about what I did in Gilead. Mara jumps in and she said, we did what we had to do in Gilead to survive, to get here. Ladies, we have arrived. Try to fucking destroy us and we won. That's right, Maura. That's right. June then asks, so what did y'all hear about Serena? Everybody looking around the room. Serena? Who's Serena? Rita comes out with it. She said, I saw her. So June is like, why? When? Where? And Rita said she wanted me to know she was pregnant. And this has June fucking fuming, okay? Now June is getting that head up in her heart again. He asks, is it by the commander? And she said, yeah. Rita tell her, yeah. And June said, well, fuck her. And everybody was like, yeah, fuck her. Maura said, she look like shit too, don't she? And Rita said, oh yeah, she looks like shit. And Rita doesn't even cuss, and she had her cussing and everything. But I'm loving this exchange between the women. Maura walks to go get some more. She goes in the kitchen and go get some alcohol, and she sees Una dropping something off. So she get her coat and run outside, and she asks Una, hey, Una, what's up? You want to come in? And Una said, no, I just dropped some things off for June, a little welcome package or whatever. And Maura said, oh, that's nice, thank you. Maura asks Una how it's working. She said, well, basically we can't go back to Gilead, and for right now we can't leave Canada. Maura asks Una, so did it help that you brought in a major intelligent asset? I want to know the same thing, Maura. Shit. Una said, yeah, that's the only reason why we have a fighting chance. Una goes to walk to her car, and Maura said, I think the world of you, and I don't want us to be over. And only thing is, you told your friend over what I told you to do, what your job title was to do. How could we ever be? I know where I stand with you, and I don't want to fight about this. So Maura said, no, we have to have the fight so we can move on. He goes on to say, I've been moving on my whole life. When I met Odette, I thought that she would be my forever until she wasn't anymore. And I just wish that you could be my forever. This gets to Una, and she's like, okay, all right. If you want to fight, let's have a fight. But just not today. Call me later, okay? I was going to say, Una, fuck you if she was still acting all tight ass, because you have to understand, like, if June and Maura are like sisters at this point, you're not going to tell me if you see your sister in a land that's like a Gilead that you would just leave her there. Like Maura said last episode, can we put her in the damn floorboards or something? You will make a way. So I don't understand why Una is acting like this. Okay, everybody went home, and now it's just Luke and June, and they're in the kitchen putting things away, and it's awkward. That's all I have to say between them two. I believe that June is really not in love with her husband right now. She loves him, because that is her husband, but I don't think she's in love with him. Not saying that she can't fall back in love with him, but right now it's too much. They started to kiss, and he's grabbing on her face in a soft way, but you know that she has that bruise on her face. So I would think that it's tender to the touch, and this caused her to move back. And she's apologizing, he's apologizing. It's just a bunch of awkwardness, okay? June pulls away, and Luke says, so do you? And June walks right the fuck off, okay? June is laying in bed, and Luke is next to her. He is knocked out, and all she can think about is Serena evil ass. And we know June, when she get this vengeance in her heart, oh, it is no turning back. So next thing you know, she's in the parking lot waiting for Mark to pick her up. Mark scoops June up, and down to the jailhouse luxury suites they go. When June walked in, Serena said, I thank the Lord that you came to visit me. And June said, you would. Because you never gave me credit for any fucking thing. Serena said, I think the Lord brought you here so I can make amends. And June said, no, I brought myself here to tell you how much I hate you. You don't deserve to make amends. The only thing you deserve is a life of suffering and shame. There is no one less worthy of redemption than you. And all Serena could say is, I'm sorry. This bitch gets down on her knees and said, I am begging you for forgiveness. Honey, June bent over and she said, do you know why God blessed you with that baby? Only so he could snatch it from you like you did our baby, like you tore our babies from out of our arms. So you could feel a fraction of the pain that we felt. Do you understand me? Bitch, I was scared. I said, whoa. And when June grabbed that woman's face and said, do you understand me? And she was spitting and shit. I said, oh, I'm real scared. I'm scared of June now. June got up, stood up straight, wiped the spit off her chin, and walked the fuck out. And Serena was sitting there. I feel no remorse for her. June gets back home to a still sleeping Luke. He didn't even notice that she left out. She undressed, she gets on top of Luke, and she's kissing him, waking him up with some loving, okay? June climbs on top and she is getting her life. And I took this moment as she's taking her liberties back. She's taking control of her life. There was a point when Luke tried to stop June and June just put her hands over his mouth and she just kept going. Some people may look at that as she's violating him, but no, I look at it that she's being empowered by this. And you know, this is one way that we do feel empowered, by taking control sexually. Same for, you know, for the time that she's been in Canada, how Gilead, the effects of Gilead was trying to control her life. Like she was going into the shell. We know that June is outgoing. She's going to talk. She's going to cuss you out. She's going to say how she feel. But when she got to Canada, she's like in this shell, and that's all that trauma. So when she went to go see Serena and she took her control back from Serena and she got home and she felt like that's what she was going to do with her man that night. That is her husband. Luke was probably surprised because he probably never seen that side of June, but I definitely don't think he felt violated. The next morning, we see June, Nicole, and Luke out in the front yard, and they're just playing, getting back to their family life. They're getting to their new normals right now, being a family, you know. And Luke is just a loving and supportive husband. Now we see June having her interview with Mark. June is telling him about Serena. She says she's pathological. She's a sociopath. She's toxic and she's abusive. She's a fucking monster. And by the way, she's a consummate actress. Mark asks, what do you think drives her? And June said hatred and rage. And underneath all of that is nothing but pure misery. She'll do anything not to feel that way. She'll do anything to get what she wants. She'll lie to you, hurt you, even rape. So if you feel yourself getting sucked in by her, run for your life. And we see Serena as she's using her manipulation against Fred. And we see that she even got bigger in her pregnancy. So now she's going to manipulate Fred so they can come together and try to beat this thing with June. Talking about, Fred, I need you. And that's where the story ends. This was a really good episode. If you like my video, please hit the like button, and you can even comment. Talk to me. I can talk to y'all. I thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.